Let me send this out. Come on in, come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Hi, good afternoon. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Did I? Oh, I did, thank goodness. Because if I didn't, I was going to be sad. I was going to say, I don't have any oil on my hands, so y'all know how I get. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. And also, let me know where you are watching from. Let me know where you're watching from. And put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Hey, Illinois. Hey, Florida. What part of Illinois and what part of Florida? Because I need some, I like different spots in Illinois for sure. I kind of like those retirement towns in Florida. Chicago? Okay. Orlando. I've been to Orlando in Chicago. The oil that I'm putting on my hands today is peony. The other day, I think I was putting on rose. Today it's peony. Hi. Montanillo or Montano. I'm probably totally butchering that. Just completely overlook me with that, okay? Y'all come on in, come on in. Welcome. Happy Feminine Friday. Mantino. Ah, okay. Thank you for that. Yes, I love somebody who can break it down for me in a way so I can enunciate properly. Thank you. Come on in. Thank you for the gifts. Come on in, come on in, come on in. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist, and what I do specifically is that I help high-capacity women build the required internal stability so that they can hold power, hold money, hold leadership, hold love without actually self-destructing, because we don't seem to do that very well. And I can understand why we don't do that very well, because we've been programmed to basically be slaves and just all this program. It's just a lot. It's a whole lot. So I basically teach emotional sovereignty and energetic sovereignty in a world that is addicted to things like false freedom, things like dependency, things like performance. So coming into this space, you're going to be able to get rid of all of that. The people pleaser, yada, yada, yada. The women that tend to come work with me are high capacity. High capacity means, or high functioning, means that these women function at a high level in regard to problem solving, getting things done. This kind of looks like the oldest daughter a lot of times, or the person who's the family manager. It just looks like the person who always has everything and everyone else in mind first before themselves. A perfect example of this, and I say it all the time, would be Terry from Soul Food. If you've ever seen the movie Soul Food, that is a perfect example of a woman who tends to put everybody before her. Oldest of 8. Oh, wow. So when we're in that type of position, we tend to do things very, very, very well, right? But we don't prioritize ourselves. We don't put ourselves first. We don't take care of ourselves. And so we're going to talk about how today specifically, or the title of today's live is, when order returns, everything softens. Everything softens. The color palette is beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm feeling a lot better and coming back into color. I don't know if a lot of people even kind of recognized it before, probably since my dad passed away. The majority of the time that you see me going live, I have on workout clothes, which encouraging me to work out more, which is kind of keeping my mind focused, which is a big part of keeping my mind focused. And then also, or I would be wearing black. And so I'm just now kind of coming back into that after my dad passed, when I'm wearing colors and things again. So thank you for noticing. I appreciate that. So this is what we're talking about today. Okay. Come on in, girl. It must be a sign. Come on. So we're talking about, first I want to tell you, share this with another amazing woman who you know is high capacity, who is in a space where she is doing everything for everyone. You know, she's successful. She's done the education. She's done all the great things that society has said that she should be doing, But now she's in a space where she's exhausted, she's tired, she's overwhelmed. And it's not showing because she's hyper competent. So she knows how to look the part. She's had to look the part all her life. So of course she looks fine, which is why nobody checks on her. So I'm talking to her. I'm always checking on her because I was her. So I understand what that is like, and I'm able to see it now from the other side. And I've been able to help hundreds of women in the same way to be able to come on the other side of this, okay? Because it's not your design to sacrifice yourself for everyone else and, you know, just live here, pay bills, and die. That's not your reality. That's not really your portion. So I'm hoping that you come into that reality. What I'm going to be talking about today is very powerful. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. So thank y'all for sharing. Thank you for these likes and these loves. I really, really appreciate them, the gifts. But again, we're talking about when order returns, everything softens. How long was the journey before you were healed from that identity? Oof. Girl, I had a spiritual awakening 9 years ago. The first part of my work was getting clear on myself. Probably about, because I'm trying to calculate this correctly, probably about year 6 into my journey, almost 6.5, almost 7. Okay, well, 6.5. Is when I begin to come into that space. I would say somewhere in between, because 33.5 is when I had I would say 5 years actually, around 38, because I'm 42 now. So between 38 and 40, when 40 hit, I really, hi, love you. I really was like, yeah, no. So, but it all started at 33. So probably I'd give it about 5 years because I had to do some other work first so that I can actually, you know, set that kind of standard and become a person who is very sure of herself, a person who is very clear on her boundaries, hi, lovey, and all of these things so that I could step into the fullness of that. So it took me about 5 years to be able to do that work. And now I'm in year 9. And I've gone through, since my spiritual awakening, I've had in my life, I've had a spiritual awakening. I've had 3 ego deaths. Okay. Yeah. So it resulted in me shifting, positioning and strengthening my identity and becoming extremely clear on who I am and why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do. Because the thing is this, and I'm going to give you a really good example of this, right? A lot of women, let's just say, I'm going to use this example. Let's just say, thank you, Lovey. Let's just say there is a woman and who's applying for a position, right? An ego, when you lead, let me say this, when you lead from your ego, that means you're leading from either pride, trying to impress someone, right? Or defend. And so when I went through my ego deaths, I was in a state of being that was detrimental to my well-being, whether it was rooted in pride, whether it was rooted in me trying to impress someone, people pleasing, i.e., or if it was rooted in me trying to defend a narrative that I knew wasn't true because I just needed to look a certain kind of way in front of people. So yeah, when it comes down to the ego deaths, that's what that looks like. I forgot what I was saying before that. What'd I say, y'all? Bring me back in, because y'all know that I'll go left. And y'all hold the rest of y'all questions for me, because that's why I can't take them, because I get off track. So, you were talking about, okay. So basically we're talking about order. When order returns, everything softens. That's the topic for today. And I want you to think about that even from this perspective. Hey, my lovey, thank you so much for these gifts. Identity, that's what I was talking about before I went into the topic. If you are a woman who is in a corporate position, let's just say you're a director. I want you to think about it like this, because everybody's worked in corporate at some point, right? So let's say that you're a current director and you want to get into the C-suite where you actually become like a vice president or something like that, right? You have all of the education. You got everything you need. I'm talking about you've done all the stuff. You have the background. You have this, you have that. But they end up picking somebody else over you, right? And you're trying to figure out, even though that person has less than you, and you can't really figure out why that's not necessarily working for you. So you go and you talk to the person and say, well, what is it that I can do better to be able to be considered next time for such a high position? And they say to you, the reason why they did not hire you is because basically you did not step into the fullness of leadership. You did not step into the identity of a leader. I don't think people understand that before you actually get a position or you receive something, you have to step into the identity of that thing first. And that is across the board. If you want to be a leader in a company, you have to be a leader at the pinnacle on your team. You have to display leadership qualities for people to put you in position as a leader. You have to show that you can be trusted as a leader. But because you don't want to look bad, performance, one of the things, like I said, thank you, my love, I teach energetic and emotional sovereignty in a world that rewards you and that is addicted to performance, dependency, okay, and false freedom. So you being fake because you don't want to look like your team, you trying to make friends. See, I was never that. Okay? I was never that. I was never the type to where I had to make friends. My friends were my friends, and I knew I had my friends, so I wasn't coming to work looking for no friends. I was coming to work to get a check because I already didn't want to be there. See that? I don't know I already didn't want to be there because I knew all my life that clocking in is for somebody else was not my reality. I knew before I knew. You understand? I felt it in my soul. So the thing is, when I went into those experiences where I had to be there, I had to set up order. I had to set up a structure for me to be able to get money at the time. That's what I was focused on, my check, not meeting friends. So if that means pissing you off and because you did something wrong and you dropped the ball and not allowing myself to go down for that because you did this and you want me to take that because it's going to make you feel better about yourself, I dare not. I'm going to stand on my own business and on my own integrity because that's who I am, and that is leadership. I remember when I was working, and I was working for the Department of Children's Services at the time. Thank you, my love. And I remember I was approached for a leadership position. Hey, you want to go from a 2 to a 3? There's a position available I think you'd be good for. I didn't talk to nobody up in there. When I did speak, it was valued because it was profound. I was not in there gossiping with them. I had a plan. See, let me tell you what it really was. Let me tell you how I really knew I wasn't going to get caught up in that. Because when I walked in there, maybe a week of being hired, one of the people around there said, everybody in here got a health issue. I didn't come here with blood pressure issues. I didn't come here having this. I didn't come here having that. And they begin to tell me, so I began to do the education and ask them, well, how long have you been here? Oh, I've been here 7 years. I've been here 10 years. I've been here 15 years. I've been here 20 years. And I said to myself, you got 5 years max, niece. That's what I said to myself. You got 5 years max, niece. And the only reason you're going to do this high five is because they're going to match what you put in there for your retirement. That's the only reason. That's the only reason you're going to get them a high five. Because you're not going to be sick like them, which means you're not going to engage in the things that they do. You're not going to have the ways like they have. You about to be real set apart. Prepare yourself for that. You ain't here to make friends anyway. See, these are the kind of conversations, and the real conversations that I was having with myself when I was working in corporate. I wasn't seeking a friend. I was seeking to be able to be in that space and learn. No, I worked for the Department of Children's Services when I was working years ago. But when I was there, I was looking at how I could advance, how I could learn things to be able to take into my personal life. I always was using the companies. They was never using me. I was always using the companies. They were never using me because the reality of the situation is I'm learning, I'm growing. And those things help me literally become a better boss, And when I say boss, not boss energy, but a better CEO, because I hire staff. And one of the things that my staff can say about me is that I am a very just individual. I run a very tight ship, but I'm extremely fair and I pay well. Because I want you to love what you do. I want you to appreciate the experiences and I'm gonna give you some skills so when you leave me, you're gonna be able to take this somewhere else. My first VA, I taught her how to do AI, I taught her how to do workflows, I taught her 6-figure skill sets and trained her on, so when she left me, she would go and could make some money anywhere else for any other business owner. It would be light work, and I sent her to other people. So the thing is, when you are saying that you want something, you have to step into the fullness of that identity. I don't care if you're saying you want to be a wife. If you're a wife before you get a ring, you're a wife before you get a title of being a wife. Y'all got to understand that when you get a title, you don't start acting like that once you get the title. Excuse me. Who you are beforehand, that's your character. That's who you are. So if you are connected to an individual and they are showing you that they are not ready to be a husband, sweetheart, him becoming a husband, you trying to force him to become a husband is not going to make him be a husband. He's just going to be a man that's legally married to you. There's a huge difference, beloved. Trust me. There's a huge difference, beloved. Trust me. Okay? So anywho, let's get back into this. Before I tap into when order restores, everything softens, because that's what we're going to, when order returns, everything softens, because that's what we're going to talk about today. 3 major aspects of, I'm not hiring right now, 3 major aspects of order we're going to kind of address. But before we get into that, one key thing when it comes down to order is thriving. Okay? You can't create order when you're a mess. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. You can't organize. You can't do anything. This is why a lot of times people say, you know, your environment is a reflection of how you feel. So if you sit in a messy room, the mind is messy. The mind is not organized, right? There's a lack of order. And if there's a lack of mental order, a lot of times there is not any spiritual rooting. Okay? Your spiritual beliefs or your spiritual rooting is going to give you the security that you are seeking from the world. I'm not even playing right now. Y'all, a lot of you are seeking validation from men. You're seeking it from corporations. You're seeking it from your mother. You're seeking it from your family. You're seeking all of this validation when the truth of the matter is you don't need any of that. You do not need the validation of anyone else. It is time for you to recognize your own value. And when you recognize your own value, you know how to validate yourself. But you cannot do that without spiritual rooting, which brings me to the first aspect of you thriving. Here are 3 things that women need to be able to thrive if you want to thrive on this earth. If you are a woman that's living in the States, if you want to thrive for the next 4 years. If you think your head is spinning now, just wait. It's only been 1 year, guys. Hold tight. But if you want to thrive, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and it's going to put you in a better position to do so, the first thing that you're going to need is spiritual law. And because it's Feminine Friday, we're going deep spiritually today, okay? So you need to understand spiritual law. The people in this society who oppress you understand spiritual law, and they use it against you. Yes. They do things like perform rituals. They use glamour magic and psychological spell work to get you to believe things that are not true, that are detrimental to your health, and that can drive you crazy. And I'm not even playing or kidding, but it's all according to a bigger agenda. But when you have the spiritual rooting in the clarity of who you are, identity-wise, you can see through the spells. You can see through the spell casting. You can see through all the illusions. Because what you understand is when somebody is presenting an illusion to you, the currency of that illusion is them having control over you. You understand? If I can sell you a dream, I can control the narrative or the perception of the way that you see me. Bending perception is glamour magic. It's the ability to be able to shift the way that you see things. It's shape shifting in a different, in a multitude of ways. That's literally what's happening in this experience, but you can't see it because you don't understand spiritual law. So that's number one. Number two is understanding the science of yourself. Thank you, my love, for these likes. Understanding the science of yourself is extremely important. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Y'all, I want to get this live to 20,000. So make sure that you send this to someone if you are receiving value. If you're not receiving value, by all means, you ain't got to like the live. You ain't got to do nothing. But I do encourage you to open your abundance portal by sowing value so you receive value, because universal law, natural law, is the governor of this earth. And so when you sow value, value is going to be returned to you in some form or fashion. So that's all I ask. Okay? You ain't, and if you feel compelled to give me gifts, wonderful. If you feel compelled to to invest in things I talk about, wonderful. But all I ask is that if you receive value, share value, give value, it's only honorable, it's only just. Okay? So, and thank y'all so much. So the first part is, like I said, understanding spiritual law. The second part, which is really important, is understanding the science of yourself, of your feminine design and how you work. One of the products that I had taken away, I brought it back because people were like, this is like so amazing, which is the physics of rhythm. I put that in the bio. It helps you break down your, thank you, my love. It helps you break down your sun clock, your moon clock, so you can get yourself back in balance. Okay. Women are out of balance scientifically and hormonally because we are disconnected from our core. Dis-ease means a lack of harmony within the body. It means that something within the body is out of order. Remember, we talking again. When order returns, everything softens. When order returns, everything softens. When things are out of order, everything is hard. Hard like fibroids. You understand what I'm saying? Hard like cysts on your ovaries. See, you talking to somebody who had them. Hard like you start altering and shifting and changing hormonally because you're so out of balance. There's such a lack of harmony within. How does a lack of harmony happen within? It happens with the things that we invite into our internal universe. Let's get into it. When you don't understand the science of yourself and how you operate, you will allow any and everything through your eyes, through your ears, and through your mouth, and through your portal between your legs. When you don't understand the value of yourself, these are the things that you will do. And then you will make posts like somebody drained the life out of you. That's not how they're supposed to go. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. Nobody is supposed to drain the life from you, because nobody can play you without your permission, participation, or the fact that you simply are not paying attention. You got to figure out which lane you in so you can correct it, instead of sitting back and acting as if you were so much better because you got all this education. Let me tell you something. The most educated ones be getting played by the ones with no degree, no GED. Your education means nothing, but it's a status symbol in this society. It is knowledge. But if there's no implementation, then there is no wisdom in your life. I just posted a thread about myself. I say for many years I carried knowledge. Before my spiritual awakening, for many years I've always been a knowledgeable girl. I've always had the depths of wisdom. I didn't always understand it, but I've always had it. But if you were to look at the fruit of my life for a long time, you would see the fruit of a fool. Because insight does not interrupt the pattern that you keep repeating. You refuse to jump to another timeline because you don't know how, which is why this is your consistent reality, because you don't understand the science of yourself. Now, if you want to understand how to time jump, I have a free guide in my bio that teaches you about timeline jumping and the math. I'm a nerd. Everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. So I like studying stuff like this. That's why I nerd out on. I love to understand how humans operate. There are people who are human behavior experts. I'm a human operation expert. See, I study how you work. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, cellularly, energetically, all of these things, because you are a spirit being having a human experience, and the human experience is an energetic experience, which is why attraction is so important, and understanding these things about yourself is so important. Okay? And I'm going to talk about that today, but you got to understand the science of yourself. Thank y'all so much for these follows and these likes. So understanding the science of yourself by being in sync with your cycle, different things like that, understanding your chemistry. One of the things that I teach that no one talks about, because it's my own thing, is it's called feminine science. Feminine science consists of studying chemistry, studying psychobiology, studying physics in order to support the woman in being able to becoming the best version of herself. So we cover all aspects of yourself, right? So when you understand the science of yourself, you don't take your chemically imbalanced self and connect with another man or with a man who is chemically imbalanced and then get together and wonder why your love life is an explosion. It's because you don't really know chemistry, because you don't even know your own. So you think that you're able to recognize the science of a masculine? Ma'am. If you did, then you wouldn't keep attracting these feminines. Because let me tell you something about that. Let me remind you, thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. There is no way that if you are a woman in your feminine energy, that you would entertain a feminine man. You couldn't. Scientifically, it's a violation of natural law. Scientifically, it's a violation of energetic and natural law. And this ain't no woo-woo. This really the truth. So not only is this scriptural, because let me hit you with the scripture first. It lets you know in Amos, I think it's 3:3, how can two walk together if they don't agree? There's some agreement, contract. A contract, agreement is a contract. An agreement is a contract. How can two walk together if they don't agree? That's one thing, right? So then we go into the law of polarity that states we have the north, we have the south, we have good, we have evil, we have masculine, and we have feminine. Let's go back to that experiment in school with the batteries. What happens when you put two sides of the same battery together? Nothing. Because it doesn't align. It violates natural order. Natural law governs the earth. This is why things are out of order. The weather is out of order on the earth because natural order has been violated within the earth to the point to where the earth is crying out. So when I tell you, if you don't understand the science of yourself, you're not going to understand the science of a man, which is why chemistry looks more like explosions to you. That's really important. Number 2, understanding the science of yourself. Number 3, this is very important because this is where women will do a great job. They'll learn spiritual law, because learning spiritual law is in the mind. It's fun. It's fun. It's like, oh my God, yes. So I can manifest this stuff. I can do this. I can do that. You get really excited, right? Great. Wonderful. Wow. Yeah. Then you go to science of myself. Oh my goodness, I feel so much better now that I'm synced with my cycle. I'm this. I understand my circadian rhythm clock and my moon clock, my sun clock, my moon clock. I understand all these things. I have them in sync. Yada, yada, yada. Life is shifting. Body look good. Weight is T. I used to be 100 pounds heavier, by the way. So all these things, I'm telling you, I know. Weight loss, attraction, money, all of it is science. I'm a nerd. I love this, okay? So when you understand the science of yourself, you're able to understand the science of everything else around you. Third thing that's very important, this is where women lose it. Oh, baby, you're going to have to take them glasses of judgment off and look at your mother, look at your grandmother, look at your aunties, look at the maternal side, the women in that family, and you are to look at them and study the generational psychology of your lineage, because you need to see what generational curse you're really here to lift. Because a lot of you think that y'all here to lift the curse of generational wealth. You done made the money and you still don't feel better. Your life's still in shambles. You done made the money and your life's still in shambles. So were you really here to create wealth? Or were you here to deal with that spirit of low self-esteem? Huh? Maybe that was the curse. You understand? Because you got to look at things. You got to look at it for what it is. Women tend to come to work with me have issues around the 3 main things. And I always crack jokes because they're like the same. I can say food, finances, and the fellas, or meals, money, and men. Those are the three things. So when you're looking at your lineage and the women that came before you, you are assessing the choices and decisions that were made without judgment. Without judgment. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Because you're not better than them. You are a lemon that came from that lemon tree. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. You are a lemon that came from that lemon tree. So you don't get to just take the power, the healing properties of what a lemon can do. You got to take the sour too. You got to acknowledge the sour. You understand? You don't get to just take the healing properties of the lemon and sell it off as if that's it. You don't get to do that. You have to acknowledge the sour in order to get the real benefit that you are looking for. You are not better than them. You are a lemon from that same lemon tree. And let me tell you something, baby. The era that we have entered into is called the pressure cooker. See, some people are going to feel it. Some people are going to be able, some people are going to get drowned by it. Some people are going to be sailing. Some people are going to be riding the wave. And the reason why you're not going to be able to ride the wave is because you're going to feel that pressure. And because you haven't dealt with the truth of yourself, pressure builds or reveals character. That's the beautiful thing about it. Pressure builds or pressure reveals your character. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was in college, I used to like to prank people, prank my friends, and crack jokes. We all would prank. And we did this prank one time. Hi, Lovey. And when I look back on it, it really wasn't funny. It was funny at the time, and we can laugh about it now, but it really wasn't funny. So we did this whole plot, walking around campus at night, and we were emulating like it was some type of robbery or something happened, because we wanted to see with what one of our male friends was going to do, right? Because he always would be running his mouth. So we did this whole thing. The whole prank was a fail, because you could tell to me that it wasn't realistic. But when it was over, like, we was all just like in character. So we was like, you didn't do anything. Why didn't you do like this person? And so he was just kind of standing there confused. And he was like, and it was so much pressure, right? And he was like, I'm not finna lose my life for none of y'all. Pressure builds or reveals. Now, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. That was his right. That was his right to feel that way. Okay? For real. That was his right. Now, he rolled off on us, y'all, and flipped us off. It was the funniest. He didn't talk to us about a month. We came back to school. We didn't know he was going to talk to us anymore. Baby. He said, I was mad at y'all. But I still love y'all. We tried to call him over this summer. He was mad. He was so mad. But we just recently met up not too long ago. And we laugh about it now. Because we lost a very core, like my best friend I talk about was in that core group with this friend. And so we laugh about it now. It's, we laugh and joke about it now. But he wasn't wrong. So my point is, pressure reveals, you know what I'm saying? Or it builds. And when you don't study the women that came before you, you end up being just like them, but just in a different element, whether you want to or not. Money is not going to support you in correcting that. You have to interrupt the pattern. In order for you to interrupt the pattern, you got to know what it is. Okay? So those three things are that right there. Understanding spiritual law, knowing spiritual law so you can create your own reality. The second thing is understanding the science of yourself. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes, as well as studying the generational psychology of the women that came before you, so you can close those gaps, okay, and heal those voids. All right. So it's very, very important. Just said being accountable and transparent. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we apologize for that too. Because when you look back on it, we was just really silly. We were some kids. But he didn't take it as a big deal. But that was a really big lesson in that. Like, pressure builds and pressure reveals. You can't hide the truth of who you are when you're backed in a corner. That's why you need to deal with yourself. So when you backed in the corner, you know what to do. See, one of the things about me, I used to have a really bad temper, and I used to have really bad anger issues a long time ago, right? There are stories. And one of the things about me now that's very important is that because I've done so much work on myself, it's impossible to back me into a corner. It's impossible to back me into a corner because I understand that I have dominion over my body and I know how to activate the fruit of self-control. So you can't control me. And getting me to act out is a form of controlling me. I only act out if that's what I want to do, not because that's what you want me to do. And I'm a bit of a rebel, so I'm not quick to do what somebody wants me to do. But that's taken a lot of work to be able to do that. Because baby, you could take one step and I would be on your neck back in the day. So it's very important to understand that when you don't have these tools, when you don't have these things, and pressure shows up, it shows yourself, right? Yes, I was born in December. It shows yourself. Okay? So let's get into when order returns, everything softens, okay? And it's not because life necessarily gets easier. Let me tell y'all gonna see me looking at two things. You're gonna see me looking at the notes in my iPad. You're gonna see me pick up my notebook. This is how my brain is. So I just be sitting down and I get downloads and it be like, so yeah. And then I go and I start looking at all that. So you're gonna see me kind of bounce between the two. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. When order returns, everything truly, truly, truly does soften. And it's not because life gets easier, but it's because you stop fighting your own system. You stop fighting your own system. Oh, I have plenty, boo. I'm going to talk about them in a minute. This is for the woman who isn't necessarily failing, but she feels like she's constantly bracing because there's so much that's being said that's actually going on, right? So today isn't specifically about discipline because I'm not really interested in talking about that. It's about restoring order. Order is how you get organized. You know why? And I'm just going to keep it real with you. You know why every time we try to organize as a people, it never works? Huh? Because it's not rooted in order. This is how you see movements get very popular on these social media apps. And you're trying to figure out, and the first thing people say, like, oh my God, it just wasn't organized. It just wasn't organized. It wasn't organized because the foundation wasn't rooted in order. See, you can't organize anything when the foundation is not rooted in order, sweetheart. You can't organize a meeting. You can't organize a marriage. You can't organize none of that. Okay? And that's just for real. So order is always going to be your first step. And I'm going to teach you that today. And I'm going to put you on game with this because you're going to need this. Okay? Especially for where we are. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. So just remember, I'm not here to motivate you now. I'm not no motivational speaker. This ain't that. I'm a psychological identity strategist. And if you are here to hold power, to hold money, to hold love, to hold leadership, and you want to do it without self-destructing, then I am here to help you build the required internal structure necessary so you can hold that. Because to attract something is nothing. Y'all need to leave that content behind you. You're way past attracting and manifesting. You understand? It's about sustainability. Can you keep it? And you can only keep things that are rooted in the righteousness. They have the righteous root. You understand? Because it literally tells you in scripture that anything you try to manifest or call into your reality that is of evil nature or evil foundation, it's not going to be able to stay. It's not going to be able to stick. This is why your systems are crumbling. This is why the systems around you in this society are crumbling, because they were rooted. What they rooted in? What they rooted in? They are. Don't you understand the reason why they're shifting and changing everything is because they are afraid? Don't you know that? They are afraid. Because people are not sheep. like they used to. Not everyone is a sheep. Not everyone is just taking what's being told to them, and they are afraid. So they're trying to change the name of the game and move the goalpost. Much like they did when they claimed that everything was going to be just with integration. Sure, you can come over here and you can do this, but we're going to build something better and have more resources over here. But yeah, you can come over here. Stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. You're not dealing with people, you're dealing with principalities. You're dealing with people who are playing in occult knowledge and using spell work to mess with your mind so you forget who you are, because when you forget who you are not rooted in truth. And if you don't have a righteous root, you can't hold power. That's why half of y'all be out here, the people that be talking about, oh, they witches, they this. Let me tell you something. On whether you go to on the occult side of things, the hidden knowledge side of things, the dark side of things, or you go to the energy that of the creator, God, ultimate source, the creator of all things. If you lack a stable foundation, you cannot hold power. That's why that's why y'all be letting people put the real spell is that you believe these people. The real spell is that you believe you under a spell. That's why all these things are coming, because belief impacts biology, and biology influences the way you behave. If you click in my stories right now, I got a whole post on belief and how it is one of the highest forms of magic. This is why the Most High tells you in scripture to capture your thoughts. This is why the Most High tells you in scripture to keep your mind on things that are above, because there are going to be entities that are going to try to bring you down here. And when you are down here, the only thing you can do is destroy on those low vibrational state levels. That's all you can do, because you can't create. It's impossible, beloved. It's impossible. So you have to remember that. You have to keep that in the forefront of your mind. But let me get back to it. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes and these comments, okay? Like I said, I'm not here to motivate you. That's not my position. That's not my job. I'm here to give you the message, okay? I'm not here to help you explain yourself better. You have had enough group therapy talks and friendship talks where you continue to explain your patterns to a T. You know why you anxious, you know, all this stuff. I'm not here to help you walk through that. You know how to talk about it. You've been talking about it. Talking about it ain't got you nowhere, though. That's the problem. That's the issue at hand. You're waking something up within for sure. All praises to the Most High. The key thing is I need you to understand is I'm not even here to help you push harder. I'm here to talk about order, because order, when you have things in order, everything else organizes itself on its own, because everything seems to get in alignment. See, when you're having an issue with IBS, if you correct the energy that's ruining your spleen, which is causing the issues with your stomach, which is causing you to have IBS, which is why they tell you at the doctor's office, hey, lower your stress and eat like this. And then they turn around and also diagnose you with generalized anxiety disorder. You know why? Because the root energy behind your sickness is worry. It is the exact same thing that happens to a child that gets really scared and can't go to the bathroom. Remember the connection? Everything is connected, beloved. And if you're wondering why your doctor not telling you that, they don't know. They're not taught that. They're taught on a specific skill. They're taught specific things. Which is why a lot of your doctors come see me, so they can get their internal structures, because they can't even hold the businesses and the careers that they have allowed themselves to step into, which is why they are becoming exhausted, which is why when you interact with them in the hospital, they are numb and they lack couth. Because they are energetically disconnected from their core. And they come see me too. Okay? So, like I said, I'm here to talk about order. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. Because effort does not create outcomes. Order does. Effort does not create outcomes. Let me tell you something right now, and it's probably going to shockwave you, but let me tell you something. And I'm talking to us with this. Talking to us. We need to be lifted from the curse or the spell of, because I wrote it down, hold on, the spell of the value of hard work. Because a lot of us were told that growing up, we need to understand the value of hard work. Most of what you see around you and the people who have the money and who have the income and who have these things, they don't know hard work. This is why you are finding out that a lot of the inventions were actually created by others that look like me. You understand? See, these are the things that we have to start paying attention to because it's extremely important. We need to be lifted from the spell of the value of hard work. That was a spell. Somebody told that to somebody in the slave position, and they picked that up as a narrative, and they passed that curse down from generations to generations to generations, all the way until it morphed into movements like Black Girl Magic. Got you stressing yourself out so you can look cute at a brunch when you having asthma, you having anxiety attacks when you get home, can't even sleep. You let them trick you into movements like the Black Girl Magic movement, where you exhaust yourself to oblivion to present yourself as a Black woman that is so excelling so much, but your heart palpitations telling on you though. Your anxiety attacks telling on you though. Your lack of sleep is telling on you. The puffiness of your face is letting me know how much cortisol and inflammation is going on in your body. You understand what I'm telling you? You can't hide. You can't hide. Not from the ones who can see. And I'm a seer, it's a gift. And not all seers identify themselves or even speak or even say, but we see. We see. Okay? Thank you, my loves, for these gifts, these comments, and these likes. Effort doesn't create outcomes. The Black Girl Magic movement was formulated right before that, the Hustle Hard movement. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I will, hustle and do this and I will do that. See, all those movements were slavery movements. It all roots back to the spell of the value of hard work. My God, on today. See what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. So this society uses psychological spell work to keep you being a slave. They use psychological spell work to keep us slaves. I'm not even kidding. It's everywhere. Everywhere. And it blows my mind how people don't see it. But I understand why they don't see it too, because they're in it. It's hard to see something when you're in it. Oh, but when the root is righteous and when you step out of it and you see yourself, you shift and you understand that effort does not create outcomes, order does. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk about the order of creation real quick. Okay? We're going to talk about the order of creation real quick. Nothing in your life responds to action first. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Everything responds to a state. Nothing in your life responds action first. Everything responds to a state, the state that you are on. Creation moves in a sequence. It shows you this in scripture. It shows you this in science. Okay? So let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about and I'm going to alternate because I got to pick up my notebook and look at my notes that I put on here too. But the first order is going to be spiritual order. So that looks like the creator of all things. That looks like the ultimate source, right? That looks like the creator of the entire universe, the Almighty, Most High, right? So when we're talking about creativity in that space, the source of creativity, the source of creation is the creator. If you want to righteously, and I'm just keeping it real with you, if you want to have a righteous root, a righteous foundation, a sturdy foundation, a hard foundation that you can really build on, you have got to go in order. The reason why a lot of you can't sustain is because you're out of order. And because you're out of order, baby, you can't organize because you can't see. Perception is warped. You didn't put your own self under a spell of glamour magic because the illusion is based on your perception of things. And you are committed to what you perceive, which shifts your perspective, which influences your patterns. And those three things make up your relationship with yourself as well as your relationship with everything else around you. Period. The Most High is the ultimate creative source. It tells you this, even in ancient text tells you this. It tells you this in Proverbs 9 and 10. It tells you this in Matthew 6 and 33. So let's go ahead and get into that space real quick. Ancient systems understood this way before neuroscience, before any form of modern psychology. It literally tells you that wisdom begins with alignment, not intelligence and not effort. Hi, loving. Wisdom begins with alignment, not intelligence and not effort. It starts with you being in position with the Creator. Because how are you going to create when you are not willing to meet the source of all creation? It makes absolutely no sense. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. So it starts there. Okay, so let's get into in that space. That clarity that you get from being in alignment doesn't come from you thinking harder, which is why you can't think yourself into a new strategy when you get stuck at a plateau. You can't think your way through, boo. All the education and still can't think your way through. That's why I keep trying to tell y'all. And this is coming from somebody who has education. I have a bachelor's, I have a master's. One of my ego deaths was me quitting my PhD program because I was in my ego trying to get it in the energy of pride because I wanted people to call me doctor. Okay? So when I tell you your education really means dilly squat, especially if there is no true implementation or wisdom. Okay? People don't pay attention to that. Let me just tell you, that clarity that you are seeking broke the spell and opened up a new timeline. All praises. That's the point. And if y'all need to learn how to timeline jump, click the link in my bio and get the free guide on the mathematical laws of timeline jumping, because I break down how to timeline jump and create a brand new reality. Very simplified way. Get the PDF, first page where you see the letter, click down there where it says watch the video and use the PDF to just go along with it and get it right. Okay? You're right. Yes, I remember when I was working on my grad first and I quit. Yeah, I was in my ego. I wanted people to call me doctor because I had a point to prove. Not you talking about me, not you saying this about me, not you saying I ain't gonna be able to do this, not you saying I ain't gonna be able to do that. Let me prove you wrong. Ooh, such a big performer. Still trying to people please, but using the energy of pride and anger to do it is crazy work. You can't do anything but destroying that energy. You could never create greatness from that. Oh, that was a reality check, baby. That was a reality check. And I realized I didn't need anybody to call me doctor because my name was going to be in rooms by simply just being myself. I didn't need it because it was not going to give me the salary. It's not position me by being in alignment, which positioned me to be able to create a multi-six-figure business from the ground up when people didn't believe in me. You understand? So it is never about the effort. Because most of the time, your effort isn't appreciated. When is the last time you've seen a 9 to 5, anybody working in a corporate spectrum, and they were there for a long period of time, and they threw them this great thing when they retired? They gave them this large amount of money when they retired. And they didn't. Because your effort is not rewarded. Everybody made a big deal about the man during the pandemic who worked at Burger King. He worked there for 30 years, and all they did was give him a pen and some candies. Broke my heart when I saw it. Broke my heart when I saw it. Because the belief that I saw was that this is what he felt like he had to do to get through. And this is the only option that he had. Belief impacts biology, and biology influences the way you behave. And when you are trying to chase money, which is why it tells you in scripture that money, the love of money is the root of all evil. Because if you love it so much, you'll put it above yourself. And when you put money here on this pedestal and you put yourself here, you automatically devalue yourself because you put money over you, which means that you will compromise your integrity, compromise your morals, compromise your heart space, compromise your ethics to get $1. When money is made up of 75% cotton, 25% linen, the true value is you coming in and clocking in. Because if none of y'all went to work, they wouldn't make no money. They would beg you to come back because they need you. But they convinced you into believing that you need them, which is why you've made them your source. Which is why they can bring you into a state of anxiety. How you letting external stimuli bring you out of character? How are you allowing external stimuli to bring you out of body, to get you out of body? And do you understand when you coming out of body, Do you understand when you're coming out of body, it's like leaving your post, allowing any and everything else to come into your body? Everybody likes to talk a lot about demonic influence, right? Thank you, love you. I'll praise to the Most High. But demonic influence requires an entry point and it requires an invitation. And when you leave your post unguarded, much like somebody in the military, you allow the enemy to come in and have their way. My God, on today. Real simple, real easy. And if you don't believe me, I want to talk to the fighters in the room who used to be fighting growing up, because I used to do a little, tumbling, right? And one of the things about me that I realized that I really didn't like about that aspect of me is that when I would fight, I would black out. Now, here's the thing. If you out of your body, then who came in to finish the fight? What rose up and worked through you to where when you come to, all you see is a bloody massacre that you didn't do? Oh, don't ever get off your post. Don't ever get off your post, baby. It's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. I'm going to say this again. Let's get back to creation. The starting point of creation is starting with the creator, because creation moves in sequence. So you have to start with the source of creation, the almighty source of creation first. Okay? So, by loving, so you first have to start there. You have to start there because that's where wisdom starts. And wisdom is referred to as a her. So the Most High is such a gentleman. The Most High is such a gentleman in a space to where before you can get access to her, which is wisdom, the wisdom you need to be able to create, you gotta go through the Most High first. You got to go through the creator of all things to be able to get access to her. That's how protective the Most High is over wisdom. That's how protective the Most High is over her. She is referred to as a her all throughout Scripture. Do you understand? So in order for you to get access to the wisdom necessary so you can create the thing that's supposed to come from you, that's a part of your destiny, you have to meet the creator first. That is the ultimate source. And when you understand that is the ultimate source, you will stop looking for men to be your resource. You will stop looking for men to be your source. You will stop looking for corporate systems to be your source. You will stop looking for validation to be your source. And you'll be plugged into the real source, and all the other resources will organize and find you. That's what it says. It will be added unto you according to Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and everything else will be added up unto you. You ain't got to chase it. You ain't got to force it. You ain't got to look for it. It's going to find you. It's going to organize itself to you because there is order. And when order returns, when you finally get that, and let me talk on a language that you might understand. When you finally get that man that comes into your space, and he just takes care of everything. Everything in your being just softens. Why does it soften? Because there is order present. And when order is present, you organize yourself. Because you have to in the presence of order. When you look at the word masculine, a line is order. A line is structure. A line is direction. So we know where to go. We know what we're doing. All I got to do is sit back and just be me and just be soft and just allow the order to just take its place. When order returns, everything softens. The reason why you can't experience a soft life or a soft experience is because you're out of order. You're out of order. You're not starting with the source of creation while trying to create the life of your desire. You have to start at the source. The second thing, or the second level in the sequence, is mental. If you have not sought out and met with the source of all creation and become rooted in that, you're going to struggle to believe or even see the vision that you're supposed to be activating and fully immersed into, because you're going to lack beliefs. Your spiritual rooting is what gives you the security you need to conquer your assignment. Do you understand? Because your biggest battle is going to be the one within your mind, the one that keeps you up at night. Because suffering comes from you consistently overthinking, overanalyzing, and all of these things happen because you have no control over your mind. And you have no control over your mind because you don't have order in the spirit. You are a spirit being having a human experience, and the human experience is an energetic experience. Thank you, my love, for these likes and these follows. So if you haven't met with source, you ain't gonna be able to get your mind right. You ain't gonna be able to keep your mind on things that are above. You're not gonna be able to capture your thoughts. Do you understand? These things are extremely vital and extremely important. So creation sequence. Creation moves in sequence. Number one, starting at the creator of all, the source of all creation. The second aspect is the mind. Why is this so important in the mind? Let me pick this up, pick on my notebook again. The reason why you have to have order in your mind is so you can process things properly, use the left brain energy properly, and so you can use the right brain to imagine. Your imagination is where the creativity is going to shoot from. But if you can't imagine nothing but horrible things, then guess what you're creating from the things that you are continuing to imagine? Okay? But when you are rooted, then you can process properly. You can imagine properly, which brings me to the next level, okay? Which is going to be your energetic level, which is your emotions, okay? When we get to the emotional space, emotions by definition is energy and motion. It's your energy and motion. So when we're talking about your energy and motion, we're talking about your posture and your positioning. This is very key when it comes down to recalibration, when it comes down to high level, successful, true manifestation and attraction. This is extremely important. You have to be postured and you have to be in the right position. If your heart posture not right, when you make a decision to do something, meaning you have ill intent, you are trying to manifest something from an evil state, and you ain't going to be able to keep that. You're not going to be able to keep that because your heart posture is wrong. I don't care how long you've been in position to receive. You ain't getting it because that posture ain't right. Period. Period. You ain't keeping it because your posture not right. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. You can't keep it. So when it comes down to the third level, posture and positioning is extremely important, but you can't put yourself in position or have the proper posture if you can't control your mind. Which again goes back to, did you meet with the source of creation before you try to manifest this experience? Okay, she said my posture bad right now. Girl. And then the laughing, girl, I cannot, because I'm too silly for that. But I understand, I've been there. We all done been there. But when we're talking about your energetics, we're talking about your emotions, we're talking about your posture and your positioning, which is influenced by your mental capability, which is influenced by your spiritual rooting. Okay? So let's go into the fourth part of this, is your physical body. All right? So when it comes down to the physical, now we're talking creating and receiving. So let's go back to the beginning, which is the source of creation. So the source of creation, that's the ultimate source of creativity. You starting at the top. So this is you getting in a space where you get access to wisdom. Because remember, in scripture, wisdom is referred to as a her. So I want you to think about a queen. This is really going to bring it home for you. I want you to think about a queen who is the most powerful queen that has ever been known, right? So many people try to get access to her, but she has guards upon guards upon guards upon guards. And if you're able to get past all of the guards, there's this one guard that you got to see, that this guard has to verify that you are who you say you are. You are ready to see this, to see her. You are ready to do these things. That is what the Most High is doing. The Most High guards her. The Most High guards wisdom. Wisdom is known as Sophia, right? That name, it means wisdom. So when you hear people talk about, I have a video on YouTube where I talked about the Sophia frequency, which is the wisdom frequency, and I really, really broke this down. But you got to understand, the Most High is very protective of her. The Most High is not going to allow anyone and everyone to get access to her. You have to be in position, and you have to have the right posture, okay, to be able to receive. So when we go into the aspect of source of creation, the mental aspect of it, which is processing and imagining, so you can go to the next level, positioning yourself in posture, and then you go to the physical plane, which is earth. This is where we create and receive. This is where we create and we receive. You create and you receive based on, okay, your spiritual foundation, your mental fortitude, and the energy in motion throughout your body at the time. Okay, that is very important when it comes down to creating and receiving. So if you're having issues in the area of creating and receiving, you have got to start at source. If you want the wisdom to get free, okay, you're going to have to start at source and work your way down. Now, when we go into the space from the body and from the physical, where it's creating and receiving, then we go into things like financial, and then we go into things like social. So the next thing would be financial, because I work with my clients on a SMEP model with the things that I teach. Spiritual self-care first, mental self-care, emotional self-care, physical self-care, financial self-care, social self-care, and summing it all up is practical self-care, which is how you achieve all of these things, right? So when it comes down to the financial aspect of once you have created and received, now it depends on capacity. Now it depends on capacity. Depending on how you create and how you receive, okay, that is going to determine your capacity. For example, if there could be a famous celebrity who could come and somebody pays them $50,000 for them to come for 1 hour, right? That's the capacity. That's the perceived value of them coming for an hour. And then you have somebody who is working at a job and has, their yearly salary is $50,000. Okay. If the way you create and receive and you work really hard at this job that is paying you $50,000, your capacity is going to be low because you're spending your time, your energy, your attention on making that $50,000. You don't have the capacity to receive anything else because you're exhausted. But that is the trick of the program of making you submit to a system like corporate. That's why they cap you. Cap is for capacity. The cap speaks to your capacity. And it speaks to how they see you at that $50,000 range. They don't see you as high value enough to pay you $50,000 an hour like they're paying this celebrity right here. Okay? They don't see the value in that. So because you continue to work, the way you create and receive your $50,000 is you work 9 to 5, you work overtime, you pick up a couple of extra things, and then it equals out to you having $50,000. Well, that's the capacity for you based on how you create and receive. And what does that mean? You create and receive based on your posture and your positioning. See? Even in corporate, if you're in a leadership, if you're in the posture rooted in being a leader, when they position you as a leader, okay, then it changes the way you create and receive. So more capacity because you're in a different position. Does that make sense? So all of it makes sense. If you are in a space where there's not a lot of capacity, you need to check how you're creating and you're receiving income. If you don't like the way you're creating and receiving income, you need to check your posture and your positioning. If you are having issues with your posture and your positioning, you need to go upstairs to see what you are processing and what you are imagining for yourself. What are you constantly ruminating about all the time? Do you have control over your mental faculties, or does your mind run you? These are the things that you have to pay attention to that are extremely important because they impact your capacity, okay? And then we go into the social aspect of that, which is the last part, and that is based on alignment. So based on, if you want to talk about and figure out how you've manifested the things you manifested into your life, you have to start with the fact, like, did you get the wisdom necessary so that you can process it and imagine what it is that you're supposed to be creating? Did you get your heart posture right and position yourself so that you can create and receive from a space of high capacity, so you can receive high, so you can be aligned with the high vibrational people that you want to be connected with socially? All this stuff makes a difference, and it starts at source. Okay? Start at source. OMG, I turned down. Thank you for the follow and the likes. I literally turned down a job because it was killing the other employees, period, as you should. Because when you put money over yourself, and that's what the scripture is saying for real though. When it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, it's not money itself. Money is a tool. Money, realistically, money is not even real. Value is what's real. They put value on a piece of paper and told us that it's valuable. Just like they're going to tell us in about 2 years that piece of paper means nothing. Hold tight. Remember, I told you if you ain't know. So that's the thing that you have to remember. The true value is within you and the value that you generate and you create. Okay? So it's extremely important, extremely, extremely vital for you to understand the process of creation has an order. It's a sequence. So if you're not creating or manifesting the things or calling or the things in your life, attracting all of that, you need to look at, did you meet with source? What are you processing and imagining all the time? What is your heart posture and your positioning like so that you can create and receive? When you're creating and receiving, are you in a space where there's more capacity, where you can actually receive more? Are you positioning yourself for that? Okay. So are you in a position to where you're aligning with the type of people you want to align with? This thing is very important and very, very vital. Hi, Lovey. So it's important for you to really pay attention to those things, okay? When women try to change money or try to change consistency or relationships without restoring the proper order, you don't fail. You experience resistance. This is why it's so hard and you got to fight for it. Because what we doing? Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. I'm going to state it again. When women try to change money, change consistency. See, a lot of y'all will say things, when I say change money, if I just had more money, I'd be able to do this. This is why when y'all get more money, you just get more bills. This is why you don't really see the money, the extra money that you bringing in, because it's not about you making more money. I remember my stepdad said a long time ago, if you can't manage $1,000, you can't manage $100,000. It don't really matter what you do. If you can't manage a little money, you can't manage big money. And he never lied. That's a fact, Jack. That's a fact. When women try to change money, when women try to change consistency, when women try to change relationships without restoring order, thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. It's not that you fail, baby, but you do experience resistance. It does become a fight because you're trying to do it on your own strength. Ooh. You're trying to lean to your own understanding, and you don't know enough. You ain't heavy enough in that department to be leaning to your own understanding. When all you have to do is go and meet with the Creator. But you don't want to do that. So you experience resistance in creating the things that you really want for yourself. When the scriptures say, I'll give you the desires of your heart, why are you not getting it? Because you blocking it. Because you stopping it. Because you positioning yourself to self-destruct. I'm going to say it again. Ancient systems understood all of this information before modern psychology, before neuroscience. Like I said, Proverbs literally told you That wisdom begins with alignment. Alignment with the one who is the source of creation. Not intelligence and not effort. That's why your education and you working hard for them ain't getting you nowhere. You didn't got 12 degrees and they still won't promote you. Know when they playing in your face. Learn how to pay attention to when systems and people are playing in your face. Like I said earlier, that clarity that you're looking for, it does not come from you working harder or thinking harder. It literally comes from you being correctly positioned. Okay? It even says that even more, like I told you in Matthew 6:33, it talks about how you should seek governing order first and everything else will be added into you. Well, where can I find governing order? Boom, 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 boom. Out of the heart, out of the mouth, the heart speaks. Out of the mouth, the heart speaks. You are to guard your heart above everything else because from it flows the quality of your life. The kingdom of heaven is within you, according to Luke 17:21. Where do we seek governing order? You have to go within first. You have to go within first. And then this way, things can be added unto you, which means it follows you naturally. All the things you've been wanting follows you naturally. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to force it. You don't have to do any of those things. But one of the things that high functioning women do is that they don't stop when something is off. Some of y'all have been walking around here feeling things in your body, somatic symptoms that you are feeling within your body, and you are overriding them. You are doing exactly the same thing you do when you see the light in the check engine light come on your car. Oh, I'll go tomorrow. You see the gas light come on. Oh, I'll go get some gas in the morning. Like you know you're going to be here in the morning. Like you know your car going to be here tomorrow. We do everything so much with an arrogance. That we override the system. So you feel that something is off, but you're going to override the system like you override your own fatigue. Like you override your emotions and experiences in order to please other people so they don't feel small, but you feel small. Like you override your intuition that told you that man was not good for you, but you just had to go see something because you thought you was tripping. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Every override has a cost. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Every override has a cost. Every time you override your system to get it done, you aren't just tired, you're leaking capital. That's why you don't have the capacity for more money. That's why you don't have the capacity for healthy love. You're exhausted, you're tired. You're drained. Every override has a cost. Now let's quantify it real quick. Okay? Every time you override your system, like I said, I'm going to say that one more time. To get things done, you are leaking capital. Here's the capital that you're leaking, because I don't think you know. You think I'm talking about money, huh? Let me put you on game. The capital is your sleep. The capital is your skin. I didn't tell you I went to esthetician school when I was living in Houston for a while. I got like 67 credits left. I never finished because my business ended up taking off. But the key thing is I need you to understand is that it shows up in your skin. See, stress make you ugly. That's why being stressed out about a fool is crazy, because he gonna make you ugly and sick. And is he worth dying for? Don't even get me started on how it attacks your womb. Please. Please. Every override has a cost. You pay with your sleep. You pay with your skin. You pay with your hormonal stability. Okay? You pay with your intimacy. You pay with your longevity. You pay. Nobody else pay. You pay. You pay. And that's what I like to call compound interest on self-betrayal. So she said, it always comes back to men. Forget them. This is about me. This is about women. You can never not talk about men, and you can never not talk about women and not talk about men. Because the majority of the issues that women are having, like I said, are around food, the fellas, and finances. And it's all rooted in one thing: your impulsivity. And your impulsivity issue is your inability to control your appetite because you lack self control. Your inability to control your appetite because you lack self control is because you don't know when to stop, much like at the dinner table. And it's coming from somebody who used to be 100 pounds heavier. See, all these things are connected. You don't know how to stop leaving him alone. You don't know how to stop eating past the signal that you are full, you are satiated and satisfied. You don't know how to stop spending the money. All of these things go hand in hand. Can't never not talk about one and not talk about the other ones because they all are connected. Because they all have the same root. All of it. And it all starts and ends with you. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. Here's what most intelligent women tend to get very trapped. Okay? These women can explain exactly their patterns perfectly. They can talk about their triggers. They can talk about their trauma. They know why they do what they do because of how they grew up and yada, 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 yada. But all you're doing is narrating the loop. And see, when people narrate loops like that, where they're always talking about their child, that tells me how long you've been in therapy. But that also tells me how you ain't really processed anything. You just been narrating the same thing. And there's power of life and death in the tongue, which is why you keep repeating that pain, because you speak it. You continue to speak it. And then when you speak it, you don't even speak freedom behind it. You don't wrap it into getting you into a freer state. You just narrate the loop, which allows you to repeat the same timeline, which is crazy because you hate that part of your life, right? Right? That's what you told the therapist. Narrating the loop is not the same as breaking the loop. Understanding that your patterns live in your mind is important because breaking it requires circuit interruption. We got to go here. We got to go here. And the more you continue to be in a space where the pattern sits in your mind at a certain level and at a certain time, it becomes, or let's just say this, the insight that you have about why you do what you do becomes a delay tactic because you feel like you feel like self-awareness is enough. No. Patterns repeat because the nervous system feels safe staying familiar. So if you grew up in chaos, you like chaos. That's why you like the drama in relationships. That's why things can't be soft or comfortable for you, because your nervous system. Every time you react the same way, every time you push instead of reorder, every time you override instead of regulate, you re-sign the contract with that experience over and over and over and over again. This is why you are in a continuous time loop of repeating the same thing, meeting the same men in different bodies, having the same experiences with women that's supposed to be friends. See, all of this is rooted in the same energy that you are not correcting, the same patterns that you are not seeing. So every single time you override instead of regulate, every time you push instead of reorder, every time you react the same way, you re-sign the contract. This is why I created the Pattern Interruption Lab. Okay? The Pattern Interruption Lab exists so that you could void that contract. This is not a support group, and we have a 0 venting policy in there. This is straight, let's interrupt the pattern. We're not here to admire the problem, okay? We are here to correct the behavior. And in order to correct the behavior, one must correct the belief. And the belief is what does not have a righteous root. And I help you pluck it, never for it to return. Ask about me. The top 3 results that I get with my clients is, number 1, my clients make more money when they come to work with me. Number 2, they get healthier. Number 3, they develop better relationships with the masculine, as well as they're able to sustain healthy relationships with the feminine, which is important because we are the communal species. Okay? Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. So we're going to meet 4 times It's 28 days. We're going to meet in these things called weekly labs, okay? You're also going to receive an interruption toolkit, which is going to support you with the exact protocols to deploy at the moment that old circuits try to fire in the middle of your workday. Let's just say you doing something and somebody calls you and throws your whole day off and you can't get yourself back focused. There is a text community on Telegram that you can come in, and there's also a set of tools that I give you, 20 of them, that support you in those spaces. As soon as you start people pleasing, this is something for you to be able to do and stop and do this. I give you what's called a 60-second window of detachment, okay? So that you can make a decision that is going to better your experience, not make the experience worse. The thing that I'm going to teach you is going to transform and change your life for the better, because this is teaching you how to sustain and keep your power at all times. And you're going to have to know how to do that, especially because of the era that we have entered into. The goal is to take your power. The goal is to siphon your power to the point to where you are so sick and you are suffering so badly that you have to depend on our systems, which is why I say again, I teach energetic and emotional sovereignty in a world addicted to false performance, false freedom, and your dependency. Because it's your dependency that keeps them in business. And your dependency is based on the fact that you don't know that you're enslaved by them in some form. But that is because you've enslaved yourself. See, when you're overthinking and you're overanalyzing and all of this and all of that stuff is happening, that's your mind having control over you and you not having control over your mind. You're supposed to have dominion. You're supposed to have dominion, okay? So like I said, you're going to get the exact protocols. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. You're going to also have a text channel where you can reach me directly in real time. So when something tries to throw you off, I will immediately be able to give you what it is that you need. We don't vent. We ban the word because when we have the word because, we always can do an excuse. Well, I did this because, or he did this because. No, we stopping it. You did this. He did this. What you finna do now? He did this. You did this. What we finna do now? Because I don't want to hear because. I don't need you to narrate your childhood to me. I don't need you to continue to narrate that loop. I need you to shift and change the narrative so that you can have control. This is very important and extremely, extremely vital. This is intervention. This is not education. So coming into the pattern interruption lab, and I have 4 more seats left. Somebody came in the day before yesterday when I did that live. Somebody came in. The program is $888. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. This program is, like I said, it's for the woman who's done processing, who's ready to recode. The woman who doesn't need permission, but she needs precision. The woman who does not need to talk this through, she needs the loop to stop, because she understands if she don't stop the loop, it's going to mess up her life. And some of y'all are stuck in loops that are going to ruin your life. I'm looking at some of the decisions that some of the 20-somethings are making, and when you get my age, you're going to be living a different life. Figure it out. Get to the root of yourself. Every decade should have a theme. Every decade should have a theme. This is what you did in your 20s, what you want your 30s to look like, what you want your 40s to look like. In my 30s, I said to myself, you need to fall in love with working out. That's what I said to myself. Before you turn 40, you need to fall in love with working out. That's what I said to myself. And I lost 100 pounds. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. You know what I told myself at the end of them 30s? You need to build the body you want in them 40s. You need to build the body you want in them 40s, is what I told myself. And what I started to do last year, I started lifting. I grew muscle. I'm still not done. This waist is nice. Everything is getting tight. And I love it here. You got to have a theme. You got to know what you're coming into. Without a vision, the people will perish, baby. You know what I'm saying for my 50s? I'm going to be the finest 50, so I'm going to be fine. You know what them 60s going to be here for? I'm going to be walking around because I'm going to be walking out. It's mobility, baby. So These are the things that you have to start thinking about because it's extremely, extremely important. So if you want to interrupt the pattern so you can break the loop, then come into the pattern interruption lab. You click the link in the bio to get more information about it. You can come in to hold your spot with the price point of $222. You have to DM me specifically for that link and that will hold your spot. And then you will have to pay the rest of your balance within the following 3 weeks. And you can put that on Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, or however you want to do it. Or you can go in and click the link in the bio and get access. It's a PDF. You're going to scroll all the way down. When you click it, it's going to take you down to the price point of $888, and it's going to give you the options for Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. Okay? If you're not ready for the pattern interruption lab, but you know you still need to do your work, then you need to probably check out Emotional Foundations. Okay? Because I want you to understand something, especially if we're talking about you're wanting to bring in more cash flow. Money is nothing but like stored energy, right? Money is stored energy. Money comes out of storage when it sees value. Okay? When it sees value. All right? You've been pouring, a lot of you have been pouring a lot of energy, time, energy, attention, money, and maintaining loops that exhaust you. Okay? So I'm asking you to consider yourself of the things that you are pouring into, if they're giving you a return on your investment, and also challenge you to ask yourself, are you ready to start investing in things that are going to transform your life and shift your experience? You can get Emotional Foundations, which supports you in stabilizing first. It is a nervous system course, okay? So let me tell you how fire it is. If I had to describe it, foundations is what creates capacity. So remember what I talked about capacity. If you have a capacity issue, you're not getting the type of money you want to make. You're not getting the type of, romantic relationship. You're not getting the type of friendships or experiences. We have to look at, again, now I've got my crazy notes over here. You have to look at capacity, which is the 5th level. So if you're having problems on the fifth level, which is on the earthly plane, you're having issues with capacity on the earthly plane, we have to pay attention to what you're creating and receiving. And if your nervous system is shot, okay, if your nervous system is shot, it is going to impact how you create and how you receive, which is going to impact your capacity. Okay, so if we're having capacity issues, we have to rewire our nervous system. Interruption, okay, creates trajectory. That is for the pattern interruption lab, excuse me. But we're talking about capacity, and we're talking about Emotional Foundations. Emotional Foundations is $333. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. It is an audio-based course. Why is it audio-based? Because I have done the education and the research to understand that my client is exhausted as hell. She is. She can't watch another video. She will sit on this live and she will love everything that I'm saying. But if I gave her a video course, she would buy it. But when would she have the time to listen to it? When would she really make the time to be able to sit down and take the notes that she needs to take and do these things right here? I don't even want you going through all that. You're already tired. You need to hear me in your ear when you're weak. You need to hear me in your ear when you're driving to work. You need to hear me in your ear before you start working in business. You need to hear me in your ear before you have this last meeting that you're about to have that's giving you anxiety. You need to hear me in your ear when that man calls you that you keep getting weak for and you can't stand up. And I give you 6 modules of hearing me and writing things down and making them plain and getting clear on the vision so you don't perish. And when you do that, you stabilize yourself to be able to expand your capacity to receive. Now you're able to receive more money because you understand the order of creation. Now you can receive because you're stable enough to hold power. Now you can receive. Now you got the capacity. That's what Emotional Foundations is going to do for you. And you can get that with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. We regulate your nervous system in Emotional Foundations. We support you in restoring internal safety because that's important. The first thing I hear a woman say when she, is having issues with men And money, a lot of it is rooted in a lack of feeling safe. A lack of feeling safe to hold $1 million because you feel like you're going to mess it up. A lack of feeling safe, of being able to hold a relationship that's not traumatic and full of drama. You understand? So we rebuild the baseline so you can hold these things. Order always comes before addition. Okay? That's why it says, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes such and such with a baby carriage. Order before addition, man. It's important. Order before addition. That's for your safety. Order always before addition. Okay? You are not stuck. You are just out of sequence. That's why you're not able to create the things you want. Okay? So this is going to go on YouTube. That's all I have for today. What questions do you guys have for me? I'm gonna tell you, like, people come on my lives and it's, it's great, you learn this information, but again, I just signed up for something and I did it wrong. I can't find where it went. Do me a favor, boo. Send me your email address and I'm gonna check it for you and I'll make sure you get what you need, because I don't play about y'all getting y'all stuff. Anybody who knows me and gets anything from me, I do not play about y'all getting y'all stuff, and y'all getting y'all stuff immediately. Okay? So shoot me a DM. Shoot me with what you believe that you may have gotten. I'm going to check my system real quick, and then I got you, okay? What questions do you guys have for me? I tell people all the time, like, you can get a lot of awareness and insight from my lives. I use my gift, you know what I'm saying, in obedience to what the Most High wants me to deliver and do, and I don't sidetrack from that. I also have to tell you, though, I give you the art. I give you the acts, I help you understand the framework and the science. But if you want the actual process, if you want to actually be in position and posture yourself and do these things, you have to get behind closed doors with me, whether that is through emotional foundations, where you learn in that element, the pattern recognition, the pattern interruption lab, or any other of the courses and things that I have up there. If you really want to get the real result and the outcome, you're going to need the order. The order requires investment. I don't just want your, and let me just say this, I don't even want your money, because it's not about that for me. The Most High pays me. Let me make that very clear. And I will always be paid because I understand spiritual law. Whatever a man sows, he shall reap. And she always sow value. I sow value to homeless people. I sow value to a child. I sow value to a stranger. I sow value online. I will never lack. What I want from you to pay is with your time, by actually listening and digesting and dissecting what I'm giving you, your energy, so that you can be open to be able to receive what I'm giving you, and your attention so you can focus on what I'm giving you, so that you can focus on yourself. The last thing I want is your money, because that is the lowest form of value. Again, the root of money, the love of money is the root of all evil. I don't put money above me, which is why I don't sell things that don't align with me, and I don't talk about things that I don't know. Period. I don't play. Somebody sent a brand sent me something the other day. A hair brand sent me something because I was wearing one of their things, and they was like, "Oh, can you just send us the ad thing? We want to use your video." No, actually, you can. Let me tell you exactly what I told them. Let me tell y'all something for those of y'all who are creators on these apps. Don't y'all ever let these companies or these brands play in your face. Do you understand me? Don't you ever let them play in your face, because they will use your likeness. They will use your essence. They will use your influence to distort you and to get out their agenda and their message. And that is what I do not do, and I don't allow. So they sent me something, and this is what I said back. Just a FYI for those of you who are in the business of creating, who want to come in that space. When they asked me I politely respond. I said, "Hello. Any paid usage of my content, likeness, or page for advertising purposes requires a formal influencer creator agreement, and a paid media licensing term. Please send your campaign details. Please send your usage scope. Please send your ad duration and your budget for review. Once the terms are agreed upon, I will provide the ad authorization access. Thank you. Don't play with me. I don't care to be internet famous. Let me be real clear with that too. I don't need internet fame. I actually don't like going live. Me being as public as I am is me being obedient to the Most High. I had to fight. I fought it at first because I didn't want to be on nobody's camera doing nothing. But when I came into the fullness of that and the truth of what I was supposed to be doing, it's still clear. I have no desire for internet fame. I don't care about going viral. I don't care about any of those things. I don't. Thank you, my love. I don't care at all. I care about those who are assigned to me getting the message and getting in position so they can receive. That's what I care about. And my tribe will always find me like they always have, which is why I've been able to build this business from the ground up without hustling to a multi-six-figure spot, all through positioning and posture. I ain't got to manipulate, play no games, none of that. I give you the truth. And if you have been asking for the truth, it will set you free and you'll feel it in my free content. So any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Yes, honey, we all got an assignment, boo. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions before I get ready to get off here? And thank y'all for being here on this Feminine Friday. Yes, I have Afterpay on Afterpay on all of my products and services. I'm coming for it. Come on in, boo. We start January 29th, but our first session starts February the 5th. So there's still time to come in, and I have like 4 more seats. Thank you, lovey. So come on in. Come on in, come on in. We got Afterpay for emotional foundations, Klarna, Affirm, and then we have those things also for the come on, my Lord. Pattern Interruption Lab. Now, if you want to pay $222 to hold your spot, you still can start on the 29th. You just have to pay your balance. So if you want to do that, you have to send me a DM. And when you send me the DM with your email, I'm going to send you a link. And that link is going to expire within 24 hours. So you have to go ahead and get it because it's going to expire. How does the PDF prepare you for the big shift? What PDF? Are you talking about the timeline jump? That's what I was trying to do before sent to Substack. Okay. So if you click the link on my bio, Substack is the first link. But if you go to the second one, that's the Pattern Interruption Lab. If you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the digital products. I think you're going to see the timeline jump first. Then you'll see Loving the Nervous System second. I'm thinking in my mind. Then you'll see Emotional Foundations third. And then you'll see the Physics of Rhythm fourth. And then underneath that, I forgot what's underneath that. Yeah, I forgot what's underneath that. If you're talking about the PDF as far as the timeline jump, you're just going to learn how to timeline jump. Now, whether you're going to do it or not is on you. I'm giving you the math, though. I'm a nerd, so I broke it down into a math formula on how you can literally timeline jump. So, you want to change a new reality or enter into a new reality? Jump timelines. I'm showing you how to do it. Okay? I will have to catch the next session. When will you start? The Pattern Interruption Lab starts officially on, it won't let me send you another message. Let me see. I have to go in here and probably accept the message. Is my computer about to die? I'm trying to think. Click the link in my bio and see if that gives you my email and just shoot me an email. But I'm going to check the message you gave me. And once I check it and accept it, it probably will let me, let you send me another one. So, but if not, just shoot me an email. The Pattern Interruption Lab begins officially on the 29th, but our first session is not till the 5th. So you have until the 4th to come on in. What's happening on the 29th is going to be the pre-work. Our sessions are going to start on the 5th. It's gonna be 28 days. So baby, you're gonna be coming out of fourth quarter and for the rest of your life being able to interrupt these patterns, okay? The patterns that are blocking you from getting exactly where you need to go. How often do you accept clients? I am during first quarter, I'm currently accepting clients. So I'm still accepting clients throughout first quarter. Let's see. Any other questions? Any other questions? You're welcome. Yes, please. What's yes, please? Yes, please, what? I need to do the next one after February. I don't know when that was going to be because I have a 6-month program that's starting in March for higher level clients. And then I have the Muse Activator, which is in May and June. So I don't know when it's going to be another lab, to be honest with you. I'm on a timeline. Going once, going twice with the question. Right, girl, okay? Because I'm going to go eat. This supposed to be an ice storm coming. Girl, I got my little food. I'm going to make me some pretzels from scratch. I think I'm going to make some homemade buns today because I think I'm going to have some turkey burgers I'm going to make. Girl, I'll be cooking from scratch up in here. How does one go about staying detached from a person or an idea as it comes and it goes? I keep struggling. I struggle to keep detached. I do good some days. Other days I obsess. You have to go back to the creation of source. Start there. So what you're wanting to do is create another experience, right? You're wanting to create another experience. In order for you to create another experience than the one that you're experiencing in the attached state, you have to get access to wisdom to be able to do that. So you have to start with the source of creation. Once you start with the source of creation and you get that wisdom, then you'll be able to implement it in a way to where you'll be able to detach. Once that thought comes into your mind, you'll be able to Psalm 46:10, which is to be still and know that the Most High is the Most High. Number one, get back in your body. First, as soon as you get out of your body, by being attached and holding on, bring it on back. But you can't bring it on back if you don't meet with the source of all creation, okay? So, when you get into that space where you are rooted or you have a righteous root, you're able to pluck that thought. So when the thought comes, you're going to be still and know that the Most High is the Most High. You're also going to remember that, guess what? You are of the Most High. You are of the ultimate source, the ultimate supernatural source, which means that you are walking magic. So if you are walking magic, then you can make things happen like that. Ta-da! Voila! Including change your thoughts. So once you realize and be still that the Most High is the Most High, you detach from the idea and you go back into your body. Once you go back into your body, you begin to set your mind on things that are above. You begin to set your mind on things that you actually want to focus on, things that you want to come into reality, because you don't want to be attached to this individual. And most importantly, if you want to really break this spell, you say to yourself exactly what I'm about to say. This is not a healthy state of mind. And only a person who would not love themselves would sit in a space where they are being dishonored, devalued, disrespected, or disregarded. And I don't do that to myself. Not spiritually, not mentally, not emotionally. So it can't happen physically. Now set your mind on things that are above. Set your mind on things that are true about you. Set your mind on things that are noble about you. Set your mind on things that are higher. Take the courage. That's going to require you to jump from whatever frequency that you are on that is low into the state of courage, which is going to be needed in order for you to trust the source of creation. And once you step into the energy of courage and you allow that trust, the Most High will meet you there. And when you are met there, you will be able to jump into higher frequencies of love, peace, joy, things that are spiritual fruits. And you'll be able to detach from the things of this earth, because you're not supposed to be attached to these things according to Romans 12:2, because everything got an expiration date and everything dies. So what are we actually holding on to? Because it will be ripped from us. I hope that makes sense. Yes, I'm interested. After the February lab, how can I get private sessions? The quickest way for you to get a private session with me is for you to purchase the Physics of Rhythm, because that's the price of my sessions. My sessions are $597. You can get those with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. But if you purchase the Physics of Rhythm, you automatically get a session. You're going to get an email that is going to not only give you that course, which is going to be extremely necessary for you to be able to do anything that I'm going to and give you insight on or give you support on. You're going to need the physics of rhythm, the understanding of the science of yourself to be able to even do it. If you're not in tune with your sun clock, your moon clock, no matter what I give you, you're going to be out of harmony. You're going to be out of balance. I need you in balance so that you can receive what I'm giving you. So most importantly, you can execute on what I'm giving you and you can see fruit. I'm more focused on you seeing the fruit of your labor, the fruit of the work. And that requires you having a good understanding of yourself. So that's the gateway to being able to have a one-on-one with me. All right. Any other questions or concerns? Anything else? All right, all right. Happy Feminine Friday again. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing weekend. If you're going to be in an area that's going to be impacted by snow, ice, anything like that, be careful. Please make sure you have the things that you need for yourself. Okay. All right. Self-care is the key fundamental of every single relationship because you set the tone of how people treat you by the way you treat yourself. And you should treat yourself exceptionally well because you deserve it. But if you don't believe you deserve it, I'm not going to argue with your perception of self. That's what I'm not going to do. But, okay, I hope that you reconsider. I strongly suggest that you reconsider. Okay. All right, y'all. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing, amazing day.